Season, we remind you that Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealers for great prices on all new 2015 vehicles today. What stood out for you in Game 1?
Well, a couple of things in the Game 1 summary. One is that John Lackey got his work in. He wasn't sharp, but I did like what we saw from Tyler Lyons out of the bullpen. We also saw Adam Wainwright pitch an inning. Cardinals didn't win, clearly, dropping a 6-0 decision. Shelby Miller dropped his string of 24 straight games without a victory. So it was all Atlanta Braves, but the good news is, Dan, as you asked for in Game 1, nobody got hurt. Guys got their work in, and I'd like to see him pick up a victory here in the final game of the season.
Let's take a look at Mike Matheny's lineup for game number 162. John Jay, Tommy Pham, and Randall Grichuk. Then Adams, Reynolds, Garcia, Cosma, Easley, and the pitcher is Lance Lynn. And what do we know about the young man, this right-hander, Matt Whistler, for the Atlanta Braves?
Came over from the San Diego Padres in the trade that brought Craig Kimbrell to San Diego, and he's a hard-throwing right-hander, throws mid-90s, and there's an example of it.
So here is John Jay.
He's a 4-pitch pitcher, and his number's not great, 7-8 with an ERA just a little over 5, but 95 with some movement on that last delivery.
John Jay is hitting .214 with 1 home run and 10 RBIs. He gets a start in center field today for game number 2. We start out the afternoon for game 2 with a strikeout.
One other thing that stood out in game 1 as we take a look at this strikeout of John Jay, and there's a good fastball from Whistler, tied him up a bit, but that game was played in 2 hours and 14 minutes. And not to belabor the points we've been making all season long about the speed up of baseball, but that was the pace I think Major League Baseball would like to see 9 innings played in. 6 runs in the game. The pitch counts were low.
And there's a high fly ball into deep center field. Off the bat of Pham, and the catch is made. Michael Bourne in center field. That's his 3rd catch today, using those legs and his good speed to track a ball down. Garcia, Bourne, and Cunningham in the outfield for the Braves defensively. This is presented by Dobbs. Olivera, Castro, Peterson, Siriaco, and Lavarnway. He's behind the plate and your infield. And again, that's presented by Dobbs, and it brings in Randall Grichuk. Grichuk with 17 home runs. He's driven in 47. Strike 1. And the 0-1 pitch to Randall. Good breaking ball. This is the youngest pitching staff in baseball, the Atlanta Braves. You could say that about the Reds with their rookie starters, but their youth does not match the youth of the Atlanta Braves. Look at this young man and Shelby Miller. They feel they have the blocks to build upon looking ahead to 2016 and certainly 2017. Here's an 0-2.
If you're going to do a rebuilding project, you better begin with your starting staff. Preferably young guys that can blossom. You have control of them for a while. Freddie Gonzalez, 5th year here in Atlanta. Been a long season for him.
Couple of strikeouts here in the top of the 1st, and Lance Lynn to the mound when we come back. Is no score. Michael Bourne will lead it off, followed by Daniel Castro and Hector Olivera. Adonis Garcia, Jace Peterson, Pedro Siriaco. The switch hitting Todd Cunningham, Ryan Lavarnway, and Matt Whistler, the pitcher batting ninth. Lance Lynn was start number 31 here today.
We expect more from Lance Lynn, or at least we expect a similar kind of appearance that we got from Jaime Garcia and John Lackey, maybe 4 or 5 innings, but you really just want to see Lance Lynn sharp. Have him end on a good note.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. Now it's 0-2. Where do you think Lynn falls in that rotation for the Cardinals headed to postseason play?
Boy, it's a good question. I think Cardinals are thinking about the matchups, who will they be playing, and the home road splits I think are going to make a difference at some point with some of the starters. But I think Lance Lynn is one of your guys, whether he's 3 or 4 as your starter. I'm not sure which, but in my mind he's one of the 2. It's all about fastball command for Lance Lynn.
Once again, many of the regulars out of the lineup here for game 2. As Lynn sends that to the backstop. 3-2 the count.
I do think, Dan, it would have been a little fuzzier had Carlos Martinez not gotten hurt. What you do, starters 1, 2, 3, 4, I think was a little more up in the air.
3-2 pitch and a ground ball that's tapped foul. His battery mate today is Ed Easley, and Lynn primarily in his career it's either been Yadier Molina or Tony Cruz. That's it.
I'd like to see Easley get a base hit. He has a career RBI, but we haven't seen a hit from him.
3-2 is hit to short off the glove of Greg Garcia and into center field. Randall Grichuk, John Jay, and Tommy Pham in the outfield for St. Louis. Reynolds, Garcia, Cosma, and Adams on the infield. Easily behind the plate. That's again presented by Dobbs, and our thanks to Dobbs all season long. So a base hit for Michael Bourne. And here is Daniel Castro. Wind is whipping here at the ballpark. Very light rain.
This is the type of rain we had in game 1 of this series that just didn't let up for 9 innings.
That wind, it is blowing in. Off speed pitch taken low.
There's a good indication of the wind. Was not blowing straight in game 1, and the Atlanta Braves had 3 home runs in the game. Interesting, Dan, that the Braves had 3 home runs coming into this series. They had less than 100. Actually, the last home run they hit was home run number 100. They almost finished the season with less than 100 home runs.
That's hard to do.
Far and away the lowest number in baseball.
Did we find out the last team that hit under 100?
Have not gotten that, but I'd be interested in knowing.
It's up and in to Daniel Castro. He homered in game 1 of this series. Cardinals have their 4th straight trip to the postseason under Mike Matheny, and the only manager in the history of the Cardinals to accomplish that in his first 4 years. That's hit out of play.
Think about what the Braves lost in terms of their thump over the last 4 or 5 years, which would include Hayward. But the Upton brothers, Brian McCann, you go back a little bit before that. Freeman has been hurt a lot of this season. Chipper Jones. If you go back a ways, I mean, you had some guys that had some home run potential, and they haven't really replaced that here.
Mark Teixeira. People forget with his time now with the Yankees, but he spent time here with the Atlanta Braves. Chipper will be the next Brave that heads to the Hall of Fame. Part of their great run of championships, of Eastern Division titles. They had a lock on that for a number of years. The 2-2. Outside, 3-2, and we'll see if they want to start the runner, Michael Bourne. You know, you mentioned this at the end of game number 1. Easley is more for offense. Not to say that he's not a decent catch and throw from behind the plate, but Tardamella is known for his defense. Runner goes, and it's chopped to the right side. Pete Kozma makes the play. Bourne to second with 1 out.
Both players have been around a while. Easley's 29 years of age. He's been a minor leaguer for a long time. So is Tardamella. So they're very similar in that regard. So you expect that both of them can handle a pitching staff, or they wouldn't stay in the game long. You wouldn't want to develop young pitchers with guys at the minor league level that are older and can't catch. You just wouldn't want to have those guys.
Hector Olivera, third baseman for the Atlanta Braves. Runner at second is Michael Bourne. First pitch is taken down and in.
I think we could speak for all of Cardinal Nation that, with all due respect to both of those catchers and them getting an opportunity to play at the big league level, everybody hopes that Yadier Molina wakes up on Friday morning and feels great, has a miraculous quick healing.
Here's a 1-0. Hit to second on a hop. There's Kozma. Again, those postseason rosters do not have to be submitted until right before game 1, so they can take it up just about until game time to make that decision on the final roster for Yadier Molina, if he is indeed going to be a part of that division series.
We know that Mike Matheny and John Mozeliak have a good idea of where they're going, but some of it's just medically related, and Yadi's going to have to get some more clearance and try some more baseball related activities before he's close, and who knows when that'll be.
Adonis Garcia. A couple of home runs in game 1, and he looks at a strike. So he gets to double figures in homers this year with 10. Driven in 25 and a .278 average. 3 for 8 in this series. Rain continues to fall. I think of concern for the Cardinals in watching Lynn, and he gutted through 5 innings. His last start, which was a key win Monday night against the Pittsburgh Pirates, but it's just been the fact that control has been a little bit of an issue.
Missing to his arm side right now, and his pitch counts have been deep. It's early, just a few hitters, but a couple of 3-2 counts to start things off. That's not what you want to see from Lance Lynn.
1-2. Clayton Kershaw becomes the first pitcher since 2002. Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson to pick up 300 strikeouts in a season. He does that today.
That's a key pitch for Lance Lynn, too. We talk about his fastball sets everything up, and that's absolutely true about him. But when his breaking pitch is right, he can get outs with that, too. He can get strikeouts with it. But he misses there. And if you continue to miss with your breaking pitch, hitters will ignore it.
And the count runs to 3-2. Very light rain here at the ballpark, so again we could see that baseball just skipping on the grass. In particular in the outfield. That's not covered. The infield was covered all night. But still, it's taken on a lot of rain last couple of days. Just got a piece. The umbrellas are out Some of the raincoats, rain jackets. Much of this crowd in red supporting the Cardinals. 3-2 pitch. And it's a base hit into center field. 2 hits in the inning, 1-0 Atlanta.
Some frustration here in the early going for Lance Lynn. A couple of ground balls advance the runner into scoring position, and he made some good pitches on Garcia, just couldn't finish him off. That one caught a little bit too much of the plate. He tried to get in on him. It was a little flatter, but almost had him struck out, just barely hung on the pitch before. It's really what they say about their guy, Whistler. They say he's really good getting to strike 2. He just hasn't learned how to finish guys off yet.
Chase Peterson showing bunt. And the first pitch is a strike. First inning, 2 outs, runner at first, your 5th place hitter and showing bunt. 1 ball, 1 strike. I don't know.
There may be a logical reason for him to bunt in this situation, but that is logic that escapes me.
So, in other words, you don't get it.
Perhaps in a different dimension, on another planet, maybe.
Here's a 1-2. Jammed up, popped up on the outfield grass, and there is Greg Garcia calling for it and makes the play. 1-0 Atlanta after 1 inning of play. We turn to Rick Horton's Toyota Keys to the Game.
Final keys to the regular season. And Dan, you were so adamant about staying healthy that you get one of the keys. This is just, I'm just paying homage to your brilliance that the Cardinals staying healthy here in game 162 is important. But I also want to add my own key because I've got to get my 2 cents in, as you know. And my key is I'd like to see him finish strong, finish with a victory.
Adams with a high fly ball into center. Didn't quite get enough. Also with the wind coming in, knocks it down.
I think it's true about the game of baseball. You don't really care about winning until you don't. You say, well, it doesn't really matter, and then it does. You still don't like losing.
And think about it, too. The Cardinals held scoreless for the 2nd consecutive game. 3rd time this year they have been blanked in back-to-back games. Cincinnati shut them out You may remember in late July, one of those starts was the final start of the year for Mike Leake. Few and far between that's happened, as Reynolds hits it out of play for strike one.
Mark Reynolds has had a string of 7 straight years of 20 or more home runs, and barring a 7 home run game here this afternoon, that's going to be broken. But I still think he's been a threat when used, and he's going to be an important guy coming off the bench for the Cardinals in the playoffs.
Here's a 1-1 pitch, and he did go. That was the 9th shutout of the year, 2nd in as many games for the Braves. 5th time the Braves have thrown back-to-back shutouts since 2012. The Cardinals, with a win today, would finish 40 games above 500. A positive was John Lackey to an extent, 218 innings this year, and that is a career high since '07, which he had 224. Finished the year with 175 strikeouts. There's a base hit up the middle. Another bright spot was Adam Wainwright, and more fitting into the late innings, you would have to think, for Mike Matheny.
Well, we saw Wainwright pitch a solid inning here today. We saw one inning in game 1 as well, but the curveball was enhanced today. It had the sharp bite. He threw back-to-back sharp breakers to Cameron Mabrin to strike him out, and that's a sign to me, the way he's being used, number one, as a 1-inning guy, but also Mike Matheny's been using him later in games. I think he's getting him ready for that role. 7th inning, 8th inning.
I do too. Multiple innings potentially. The Cardinals are catching the Braves at a tough time with how well they're playing here at home. Braves have won 7 of their last 8 home games. The ERA during those 8 games is .63. Shelby Miller snapped his 24-game consecutive winless skid as Garcia pops it up to the left side and out of play.
Well, the training here against the hot pitching staff is hopefully going to help when you get into the playoffs. I mean, the reality is that anybody the Cardinals face in the National League going forward is going to be one of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball, because the top 5 teams, ERA-wise at least, are all the National League playoff teams. And so the Dodgers, you face the Dodgers somewhere, you're going to have to beat good pitching.
And a ground ball that could be 2, 4, 6, 3, double play.
Mets as well.
Jim Hayes will be with us in the bottom of the 2nd with some news following game 1. The home half of the second inning, and once again we say hello to Jim Hayes. And you know, we're so lucky, Rick. Normally these hits are done with a wireless microphone, but Jim, you know, wanted to join us in the booth. Man, we're lucky.
I'm thankful.
Yeah, me too.
That's why I wanted to be in the booth, because I'm thankful. And as my final hit of the regular season, I just wanted to say that you guys take the job very seriously, and I appreciate that, but you also make it a lot of fun. And that goes for Pat Paris and Al back in the studio. Our crew does a great job, and you guys are at the forefront.
It is fun, isn't it? I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Jimmy.
That's very kind of you.
I mean that.
But you felt like you had to say that because I said nice things about you in Game 1.
Oh, I don't listen. When my hit's over, I turn the sound off.
Uncalled for.
Now, I'd be the last guy to stir up any issues. You know, guys know me.
Not you, Ricky.
But I recall Jim being in the upper deck of Game 1 and saying that he was sitting with the Dan McLaughlin fan club.
Well,
did you not say that, Jim?
Look, I don't get cross-examined by the likes of you, Courtney. But I will say this:
you just don't
when I'm fired upon, I will fire back.
You can't handle the truth.
That slapped the other way and a foul ball.
It was funny, by the way. I laughed.
I got lucky.
Hey, you survived the post game from the other night. Everything's okay.
Hopefully there'll be some more of that.
Yeah.
You know, that's not an easy assignment. That's not an easy assignment, but I know the players get a kick out of doing it, and part of the job. And hopefully there's more to come.
As you said, journalism.
I'm all about the journalism, Dan.
Yeah.
Wherever journalism is taking place, you'll find me there.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
Know that.
Well, seriously, I love those settings, and you did a great job with it, and you always do. But I just think it's such an interesting moment how guys will become very philosophical. They'll talk about their teammates, and I mean, it really is pretty moving in a lot of ways. Now, of course, they're celebrating and going crazy and all that, but there's some pretty neat things said.
Yeah, until the point that one guy douses me and then the other guy does, and then all philosophy is out the window by that part's about drowning me. I get that.
This is an enjoyable team, is it not?
Great
I mean,
group.
for you to deal with
Great
day in and
group.
out.
Great.
Yeah.
And over the years, we've dealt with some great players, and I do think it's something about the way the Cardinals go about picking their guys.
Oh, he picked him off. Speaking of picking up guys.
Nice work, Dan. That's why you're the best in the business.
Good segue.
But, yeah, they've been a great group, and, you know, every year we deal with some great players. You guys are down there. Just, a fun bunch of guys that take the job very seriously.
Siriaco was off and running, it looked like, wanted to do some running, and Lynn picks him off, and so it's 2 outs and 1 ball, no strikes on Ryan Lavarnway. And once again, for fans that don't know, maybe you missed it in Game 1, we talked about it a little bit. Rick and Jim and Pat and Al, Jim Edmonds, Andy Benes, all will be part of post-game shows coming up with the postseason beginning on Friday night from Ballpark Village in our studios inside Fox Sports Midwest Live, and I'll be watching from my couch.
So immediately following the game, Fox Sports Midwest, you'll get the breakdown as we usually do, Jim. And
yeah, from the guys that have been covering the team the whole time. That's the thing. Watch the game, sure. But then flip over to Fox Sports Midwest. You know what I'm saying,
That's
Dan?
the plan. He's
Apparently.
talking to you, evidently. You're saying you're going to be a customer.
You want to stick around another half inning, Jim?
I think I'm good, and I think the audience is good. A little of me goes a long way, Dan.
You're the best, Jim.
You're the best. Access to 2015 playoff and World Series tickets by placing a deposit on new 2016 season tickets today. For details, visit cardinals.com/season. Pete Kozma will lead it off. One to nothing Atlanta. Kozma is at second base, batting in the 7th spot in this lineup, followed by Easley and Lim. In the air to shallow right. One away. Best way to follow the Cardinals in postseason play. MLB at bat. Follow the Cardinals in the postseason. MLB.com at bat. Get it right now. Ed Easley on the first pitch. Fouls it back. Strike one. Your biggest concerns going into postseason play, what would they be?
How sharp is the starting pitching? I think that has been the hallmark of this Cardinal team. That's been what you fall back on, that you may win some games 2-1, 4-2, but the pitching has been constant, and there have been signs of dropping back with the starting pitching just a little bit. I'd like to see that get as sharp as possible starting Friday.
Not to make excuses, you are on teams that would wrap up a season, the regular season with a week to go, and it's just hard to keep that edge. And again, I'm not making excuses. The club has not played well this weekend, but it is hard to keep that edge after going so hard for 6 months. Well, it's a tough thing to do.
And the edge isn't there, and your normal lineup's not there. That's where you start. So you get that feel of a spring training game, which is part of it, and you try to certainly be professional about it. Everybody's trying to do well, but you don't have the A team out there right now against Matt Whistler, and yet you'd say that, but the A team was out there for at least for a few innings in game one here this afternoon. So clearly not as sharp. I guess what I'd say I'm thankful for is that that was not a 3-week experience with the Cardinals wrapping it up 3 weeks ago. Then you'd really have a problem.
The 2-1. And Lynn with a fly ball out to center field. Michael Bourne. He is there and makes the catch. Cardinals go 1-2-3. Midway through 3. 1-0. FS1 continues to be your home for postseason action, the American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and history as it all begins Thursday on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. All began for the Cardinals when they reported to camp on February 19th, and here we are in early October. And we say goodbye today for regular season play, and the playoffs begin Friday at Busch Stadium. The time of that game we do not know yet.
A lot of variables in that. Told we may not know until Wednesday. There's some home field advantage questions. There's some who plays who. Still some question about the American League playoffs. Play it first, maybe. Or at home.
To the backstop, there is Ed Easley. So Whistler picks up his second hit of the season as Pham airmailed it to first. And a leadoff base hit. Sounds like you're ready to do some play-by-play, so why don't you take over this half inning? Go right ahead.
Well, I just saw it coming.
So did this big crowd of 12,510.
I think that's an indication that the ball might be a little wet, that Tommy threw one over the catcher's head.
A little bit.
Throwing to first base.
Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
Ground ball to second, to short for one. On to first, double play. 4-6-3.
Well, we couldn't see that one coming.
So a double play. Lance Lynn gets the job done. And Dan, why don't you break it down?
Well, you know, Rick, back in my days of stickball, you know, you would have to shift your feet fairly quickly at times, and you know, back on the streets of South City, you would have to maneuver around the cone, maybe you had a can out there, slide with the right foot, leading with the left, avoiding the runner, and then making that strong throw. And that's what we just saw there from Greg Garcia.
It's terrific.
Back to you, Rick.
I've told you, you don't have to say that. It's implied.
No,
it's implied.
As a color guy,
No.
you make your statement and back to you.
No, just let it slide back to me. You don't have to say it.
Here's the shortstop. Now back to you, Rick. Go right ahead.
No, I'm good.
No, you got to finish up the inning.
Actually, Lance Lynn has to finish up the inning. We wonder if he's got maybe one more after this. Most of the Cardinal starters have been going around 4 innings in these last starts. There's a swing and a foul back.
Tell you about my walk-off hit that I had in fantasy camp. It was really an emotional time for a lot of us that day. And
you know you're not supposed to talk over pitches, right?
Apparently you haven't learned.
No, I know it. I just do it anyway.
Go ahead.
Foul ball.
In on his hands, trying to jam him a little bit with that pitch that was running in.
So what do you think of the fastball command of Lance Lynn? Is it improving?
I think he's underneath his pitches a little bit. Needs to get on top. Talking to Rich Sutcliffe the other day, we talked about positioning not just of the arm but also the hand.
The 2-2 misses outside. 3-2.
That was a little better because you see the hand will allow him to get sink. If he's laying it to the side, at times it runs and you don't get the movement that you want.
3-2 pitch is popped up. Shallow center field. In comes Jay to make the play.
So anyway, Rick, that's an easier play for him.
We got to go to break now. Stop.
Now back to you.
Stop. 1-0 Braves.
that look at the race for the National League MVP. Rizzo will get some votes as well. I will go with Bryce Harper. How about you?
Bryce Harper as well. I think his .331 average, the power numbers, and you can go by WAR. You can go by any of those stats. To me, he's had the best year of all those players. It's really surprising that the Nats didn't play better this year. After
Shocking.
Seeing what Scherzer did yesterday, their starting pitching should have been good enough to keep them in every game. Their offense should have been good enough. Harper having a great year, should be a winning team. It just wasn't.
Harper has a chance to win the batting championship and the home run title. Right now he is tied with D. Gordon as Jay slaps it the other way for the first out here in the fourth. Those two are hitting .331. Arenado and Harper both tied with 42 home runs. Bryce Harper is at 99 RBIs, and he is 31 back of Nolan Arenado, so I doubt he gets the RBI title. How about Arenado? 130 RBIs. MVP would go to Harper. How about your Cy Young?
Cy Young to me is Arrieta. I think he finished strong. Hard not to say Greinke, but Arrieta's ERA finished close to Greinke's. Plus, he has a few more wins. Finished strong. He's been lights out.
Here's a 1-1. Little tapper back to the pitcher. Whistler will step and throw. I think if Arrieta wins the Cy Young Award, many will go to what you were talking about and how he finished. You know, Greinke, any other year, you'd say 1.66 ERA. I mean, that's the guy that's probably going to win it. But Arrieta has had arguably the best second half of anybody, and some are saying it's the best second half ever.
1.77 is not far away from 1.66. And when Greinke was a half a run ahead of everybody else, I would have said Greinke. But Arrieta's been so lights out. A 1.77 ERA with 22 wins. That's your Cy Young.
I would have said Randal Grichuk could have been my Rookie of the Year, if not hurt. He picks up a base hit. Again, you have to add probably 200 more at-bats to what he's got going into play today. But this is the trio that will be voted upon, and that's Bryant, Peterson, and Duffy, and I'll go with Chris Bryant.
Yeah, me too, and I think we're in agreement twice in a row, which scares the daylights out of me. But Peterson had the big hype and the big power numbers early on, but he hit 210. Sorry, that's not good enough. Duffy's had a very good season for the Giants, but the RBI total of Chris Bryant and the power numbers and his average has gone up. Yes, he strikes out a lot, but he's had the best season of the three of those.
And on a winning team. Let's go into postseason play, and again, you know, Jock Peterson is doing that as well.
And as we mentioned last time we talked about this, I'm still trying to get a nomination of Grichuk, which is the combination of Grichuk and Piscotty, because once one got hurt, the other came on, and really, you combine their numbers, and you've got a pretty good rookie season.
Piscotty will wind up leading rookies in batting average, it looks like. Came in at .310, went 0 for 4 in the first game, but good to see him back out there. Hit the ball hard 3 times in game 1 of this doubleheader. No balls and 2 strikes on Matt Adams.
Matt Adams is a little bit of a mystery to me as to how the Cardinals will use him.
A high fly ball again into right center field
in postseason.
Wind blowing in, knocks it down, catch is made. Midway through 4. 1-0 Atlanta. Don't miss the 2015 postseason beginning October 6th. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule. Still things to be decided today. That includes what's happening in the National League Central Division with Pittsburgh and Chicago. That pitch is ripped out to left. Hector Olivera all the way to the wall. And Olivera begins the bottom of the fourth with a leadoff double. What's at stake for those two teams, Chicago and Pittsburgh, is home field in the one-game playoff.
And what's at stake in the American League, and we'll get you updated shortly on the scores, but you've got an issue with the division championship. Texas trying to hold on. They're playing the Angels. Houston trying to tie Texas with a victory for them and a Texas loss, but Houston also is being caught from behind by the Angels, so they may end up in a tiebreaker one way or the other tomorrow, depending upon how those scores work out.
We were watching the game yesterday. We got to the ballpark. It was 10-6. Texas going out to finish off the Angels, finish off their season. They come back in dramatic fashion, and an old nemesis gets them again, David Freese.
Down to their last out.
Nice play by Adams and a race to the bag, and Adams is there. That should show you the health of Matt Adams, getting to the bag and racing and beating Garcia for the out.
I thought the soft hands of Matt Adams there. That was not an easy play on the backhand.
I've always liked the way he's played defense. You know, I think sometimes we take that for granted. You know, you think about the power, and he's a big guy, but he moves well, and he's got soft hands. Remember, when the Cardinals drafted him, he originally was a catcher, moved to first base.
People just assume, and we get a lot of conversation about certain guys, and they'll say Matt Holliday, for example. We'll just put him at first base. Well, first base is not that easy to play. And if you're an outfielder by trade, to just say, hey, you're going to come in the infield and you'll be fine fielding ground balls, all you got to do is catch a ball from an infielder. Well, there's a lot more to playing first base than that.
One out and a runner at third. Infield is in. That pitch taken low by Jace Peterson, who popped out to short. But how about David Freese? Good for David. One of our favorites.
I'm sure Texas fans don't like him very much.
No. I can understand why.
Again.
That guy again? You got to be kidding me.
Now, they'll really be mad if Lance Berkman re-signs a contract. It comes up in the ninth inning today. It's good to see Lance at the ballpark during the last homestand.
It's going back to Rice to finish up his degree. He told me in kinesiology. He was going to get it in some type of form of education, but by the time he went back to go get his degree, they didn't offer it anymore. And he said, okay, what am I closest to? They said kinesiology. He said, yep, that's it. Garcia with a play at the plate, and the throw is there. The block by Ed Easley. Did he give him a lane? If this is a regular season game, I wonder if Freddie Gonzalez, and I mean regular season where there's a little bit more meaning than game 162, I wonder if you'd have an argument here from the Braves.
Well, I think what we've seen happen is the reality is 99.9% of the throws take you to that side of the bag anyway, as this one did. So if the throw takes you there, they don't call it. Nice play by Garcia on the backhand. There's the throw that comes over, and he's not in front of the plate. He's behind it. So he gave him a lane to slide in either way. But what we've seen practically is the umpires are caught trying to determine whether or not that throw took the catcher there. And most of you're always going to throw to that side of the bag because that's where the guy's sliding. You're supposed to throw to that side of the bag. So it's just, to me, it's been a very muddy rule that got muddier as the season went on, and then almost, to your point, ignored.
If you went to Mike Matheny and Freddie Gonzalez and said, explain to me this rule,
you know what they'd say?
They don't know exactly.
They'd say, so anyway, let's talk about the weather. they would ignore that question. They wouldn't want to talk about it. But we've been with Mike a number of times where he just kind of shakes his head and just says, I don't know.
One ball and one strike. That's it out of play. Lynn today has been better after the first inning. Give Lance Lynn a lot of credit. The game that the Cardinals, it seemed like every game in Pittsburgh was must win, but
yes.
Game 1, he gutted through 5 innings, and it was bases loaded situation after situation.
Pirates stranded 16 runners in that game and didn't score once. And Lance was a part of that. He had 4 walks in his 5 innings, threw a lot of pitches, but when you look up on the board, there's still zeros.
2-2 the count on Pedro Siriaco. Line drive into right field and a base hit. Falls in front of Tommy Pham. So base hit for Siriaco. He is 2 for 2. He was picked off back in the second. And our DraftKings players to watch: Arenado, Harper, Gonzalez, and Frazier, the home run leaders this season in the National League. Runners at first and second, and the switch hitting Todd Cunningham. Will this be the final inning of work for Lance Lynn?
I think there's a good chance of that. He's set to hit 5th for the Cardinals in the top of the 5th, and if it got to his spot, he would be lifted, but he may be lifted anyway.
Mets announcing that Jacob deGrom will be their Game 1 starter in the division series against the Dodgers. So that'll be deGrom against Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw going today. I'm assuming it's Kershaw. Could be Greinke, but I'm at least what Don Mattingly had said over the weekend, he was leaning towards Clayton Kershaw. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Adams stays with it, flips to first, and out at first. And we may have a review.
Freddie Gonzalez popped out of the dugout, asked everybody to stay there. I want a chance to review this. Common courtesy, really, and the way reviews are done right now is to just tell everybody to wait. I'm not so sure what I saw, and he thinks his runner Cunningham was safe.
To the naked eye, I thought he was safe.
Yes. Little jab steps at the end for Lance Lynn, covering the bag, which a pitcher has to do to get his feet under control. And those little short steps, did he beat him or not? Ooh, that's close. One more look. Well, the fans here think that he was safe. Either that or they're Cardinal fans cheering, but I think he is safe after looking at it for the 4th time.
Just bobbled a little bit by Adams and a hard hit ball. Runner may have distracted him just a bit with that grounder. So we'll see if they want to challenge here in the bottom of the 4th.
The play by Garcia has become an important play in this inning. With the infield in, the Braves took a chance sending Oliveira, and in hindsight they shouldn't have. They'd have a run by now. Always easy to do that in hindsight, isn't it?
And here on the video board at the ballpark, they've enlarged it. There's a view where you just see the feet of the runner and Lance Lynn, and it does look like Cunningham, the runner, beats him to the bag.
Had a chance to visit with Rich Rieker this week in Pittsburgh, and he was telling me about all the intricacies that happen in New York, how they handle, how many views they get. And he actually showed me a really nice piece that was done by our friends in Kansas City with Fox Sports Kansas City, and Joel Goldberg had a chance to go inside and showed all the cameras, how the crews work, how many angles they get, how many times they've got multiple reviews going on at the same time, how many reviews per hour. It's very interesting. And there is such...
Are they getting more reviews than what we're seeing?
Oh, yes. Many more angles than what we're seeing. And they have multiple technicians. Their whole job is to take the angles that are best, because they have so many camera angles, cull them down and present them to the person who's making the decision. So there's a lot of layers to that. And what's also interesting to me is the second the play is over, they're already working on it. They don't wait for Freddie Gonzalez to pop out. In fact, they review dozens of plays every game, regardless.
That was part of it.
Regardless of whether or not the manager asks for a review.
He is called out.
Wow. I'm very surprised at that. Huh. Surprised, but happy. Technology.
Maybe the heel of Lynn got there.
Maybe.
Then the Astros, it would be whether they would play the wild card game at home or New York.
We got an odd situation going on in the American League that the Astros are both rooting for and against Texas. The Astros are trailing in Arizona 3-2, and if they lose that game, they've got no chance to catch Texas,
right.
So they want Texas to beat the Angels. If they win that game, then they want Texas to lose against the Angels so they can perhaps tie them for the championship. So don't watch the score. Do what you do, then watch the scoreboard later, I guess.
Here's a 1-1. How about Colby Rasmus? 2 home runs last night for Houston, 25 this year.
Good season. Very good season.
Mark Reynolds to start play here in the 5th inning, followed by Greg Garcia and Pete Kozma. Chopped off the plate. Whistler spins, throws, makes the play. What a play that was. The team that is in the playoffs for sure, the New York Yankees. Teixeira, A-Rod, Beltran. And Teixeira, we cross him out with the injuries he's dealt with. Saw Tanaka, 87 and 74. They clinched a wild card. Can you get into the season that A-Rod had? Or you just kind of ho-hum with it?
Pretty ho-hum with it. And maybe that's not 100% fair.
Garcia flies out. There's no doubting he's helped their team immensely.
Absolutely. And what he's done at his age, got to give him credit for that. It's just, I think there are pieces of a lot of baseball fans' hearts that don't want to give him too much credit for anything, so it's just a hard place to go. I think Ryan Braun's like that.
Yep. Here's Pete Kozma, flied out to right. Here's an 0-1 pitch. In the dirt, 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's interesting, Dan. We've been talking about some of the endings that you and I are dealing with. Our last game on Fox Sports Midwest and the last game for our crew. They do such a great job. Mike Kelling, our producer, Tom Mee, director, Brian McCann, Keith O'Brien, Danny Martinez. It's an ending, but it's also a beginning. Playoffs ahead.
For potential National League Championship Series home games to be played in St. Louis. They are on sale now. Get yours at cardinals.com/postseason. LaVarnway, Whistler, and Bourne. Inning number 5 for Lance Lynn. Lynn is due up second for the Cardinals, so we would assume that this would be his final inning of work. I also assumed I wouldn't see Tyler Lyons pitch today.
But you did.
Yep.
He had some good moments, didn't he?
Sure did.
6 strikeouts in 3 innings of work. In fact, 5 of the first 7 batters that he faced, he gave up a couple of home runs, but Tyler's showing that nasty slider. was a good breaking ball from Lance Lynn. Lance has settled in nicely. He's steered away from the walk here today. That's been the best part of what we've seen from Lance Lynn.
Fly ball, deep right, Pham won't get there, and it hops off the wall, and that'll be a double for Ryan LaVarnway.
Center cut, middle. Pitchers try to stay out of that area if possible.
Whistler will bunt, and there is strike one. Tom Mee, who doesn't miss anything during the telecast, told us a really interesting story in the break. He said that young man right there got that bucket of popcorn 2 innings ago, and apparently he's almost done with it. So thank you, Tom. Good stuff as always. Gets the bunt down. Reynolds bare hands and makes the play. LaVarnway advancing to third. BJC Healthcare, difference maker. A look at the Cardinals in postseason play. Nice defensive play there by Reynolds. And again, this is brought to you by BJC Healthcare.
11 World Series championships, 19 pennants. And of course, the Cardinals have played better at home during the season than most teams do anyway, but that's true in postseason as well. Cardinals will have the home field advantage, at least as things begin. You get to the World Series, you get there, you don't have.
One out and a runner at third. Infield is drawn in. It's not just because the Cardinals will wind up with the best record. I just don't agree that that's how it should be decided. Do you decide it with interleague play? Do you decide it if the two teams played each other in regular season play and they match up? Should it go every other year? But an exhibition in the middle of the season? I don't know. And I understand you're trying to get interest to the game and you want more people watching it, but and what's interesting too is I'll say that to people that are around the game day in and day out, and they say, it doesn't really matter. We're okay with it. We're fine with it. I said, now wait a minute. It's Game 7 potentially of the World Series, most important game of the year. And essentially home field is decided by an exhibition. 2-2.
Tell that to the 87 Cardinals who couldn't win on the road, couldn't lose at home, but it happened to be an odd year at the time. That's what they did then, odd years. So 85, 87. You didn't have the home field advantage.
Tell that to the Minnesota Twins of 87 too. They couldn't win on the road. They could sure win at home. 2-2 is taken high. Michael Bourne is grounded into a double play.
Seems
and
like
also singled and scored.
It ought to be something the team earns. You don't want an all-star from some other team giving up a home run to some other guy that affects what two other teams do in the World Series. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Texas leading their game 3-2. Pat will have an update coming up, but they've got the bases loaded in the 7th, trying to extend their lead. 3-2 pitch here by Lance Lynn. Ground ball that's hit to first. Adams looks back the runner, tags out Bourne, makes the play. So again, for the second time with the infield drawn in, it's paid off. If you've never been to spring training, you don't know what you're missing. Escape with the Cardinals to warm sunshine, blue skies in Jupiter, Florida on your next Cardinals vacation. More details at cardinals.com/vacations or call 1-800-892-7687.
Smart play by Matt Adams there.
To run at the runner, not go to the bag?
If he runs to the bag, maybe the runner could take off, and now you've got to perhaps a throw at the plate. But by shortening the distance between the runner at third and Matt Adams, he keeps him from running, and sooner or later, Bourne's got to run by him.
A pitch at 96 from Lynn. He's at 75 pitches here today.
And the young man in the background continues to eat the popcorn. So many things going on at the ballpark.
Just made yourself laugh.
I couldn't say it with a straight face.
Yeah, the Tommy, our director, doesn't miss much. Here's a 1-1. He's throwing hard right now. That pitch at 96 again.
That's the top of the range for Lance Lynn. At least what we've seen as a starter.
And again at 96.
When I think of Lance Lynn as a reliever, I always think of him going into a game in Texas and Tony La Russa having the baseball in his hands, starting it to hand it to, he thought was Jason Mott, I think, called in for a reliever. He didn't think it was Lance Lynn because he told Lance he wouldn't pitch that day, and Lance Lynn was there and he said, "What are you doing here?" That was his words to a guy coming into a game in a World Series. What are you doing here?
How about Lynn? Gets out of the jam. Yep. He's still at it. 1-0 after 5. Sports Midwest. That's our Budweiser What's on Tap. Now, we, of course, do have our postseason expanded coverage here on your home of the Cardinals.
You don't have the pitching probables there?
I don't, no. We'll see the Braves. We'll see the Yankees, Houston, Miami, Boston, more Miami. Although that will change in a couple of years, it looks like.
Yep. The Astros moving closer.
Toronto, a team that's been talked about.
How about a first big league hit?
And easily at the plate. Chance of let's go Cardinals. It's been 20-plus innings in which the Cardinals have not scored. since the clincher in Pittsburgh. The 1-0 pitch. What team do you like out of the American League?
I like Toronto.
Hard not to like them, isn't it?
Their offense is really good.
David Price. Here's a 1-1.
And we were talking about our coverage ending and postseason becoming a national broadcast, but this is an ending today for some of these Cardinal players too. So it's an odd feeling to be on a team where everybody's getting excited about the playoffs and you're done.
I talked to John Mozeliak about that the other day, Cardinals GM, and I said, now that you've wrapped it up, will you go back home to St. Louis? And he said, no, I'm going to finish out the season. It's something I always do, win, lose, or draw. That final road trip, I'll always be on it with the team because it may be the final time I am able to engage with some of these players. Some guys will move on to different teams. Some won't play. Some won't travel.
So today we're thinking playoffs, but for some of these guys internally, they're aware that they're wearing a Cardinal uniform for the last time, perhaps today. There's Michael Gersh, John Mozeliak. And what a job the entire organization has done this year. We've talked about Mike Matheny quite a bit and the coaching staff helping to weather the storm of all the injuries, but it's been an organizational triumph of developing players who are game ready at the big league level to step in. And it's one thing to bring young guys up, but if they don't perform, you're sunk.
I like the way you put that. Organizational triumph. It's a good way to do it. Make sure your baseball collection includes the 2015 official Cardinals yearbook, celebrating the history of the Cardinals uniform numbers and the legends who made them famous. Order your copy today at 314-345-9000 or cardinals.com/yearbook. So Borges retired, and now it's top of the lineup in John Jay. Hits it out of play. Watch out. Once again, our thanks to our crew who's with us every day and all the men and women back home that allow us to bring you Cardinal baseball. We have had a blast again here in 2015. One ball, one strike.
And you and I couldn't single it out, Dan, or just name a person or a group of people, but there's an encouragement that we get as we broadcast Cardinal baseball by getting feedback from fans that care about the team and care about the broadcast, kind of love the product, and that, boy, that keeps you going in a long season, doesn't it?
Means a lot. 76th appearance. It's been a tough September, October for him. But you know he'll play a key role for the Cardinals coming up in the playoffs beginning on Friday night.
Busy season for him. He's gotten a lot of work. He's still going to be the guy with a couple runners aboard. You need a ground ball, you're going to call on Seth Maness. He has an uncanny ability to get that ground ball. So we'll see him certainly a key part of the Cardinals postseason roster. And for Seth, it's just a matter of whether or not his sinker is sinking. Very simple.
That's why you're the best in the business.
Well,
let's see. He's got a sinker, and if it sinks, it's got a chance to be a pretty good pitch.
I know it's brilliant. Sliders need to slide too.
If you can't have fun doing this, I mean, geez, something's wrong. 2-2 the count. Oliveira is at the plate. He's grounded out to second and also doubled to left. Outfield is straight away. And a swing and a miss. Good sinking action on that pitch.
That was a changeup that changed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So changed speeds.
Took a little off it.
Oh.
Perfectly done. Good location. Here it is, the changeup grip, and then it disappears.
By the way, thinking of our best moments of the year.
Yes.
How about Seth Maness after Cishek had walked the bases loaded in Arizona? And Seth came in with the bases loaded, nobody out, and did not allow any runs to score. That's one of the defining moments of this year.
Agreed.
Here's Adonis Garcia.
Well, the great thing about the defining moments is think about the names that you've come up with throughout this game as we've talked about some of the big plays, the big moments. You've mentioned Reynolds, you mentioned Garcia, we've mentioned Peralta, you mentioned Hayward. I mean, we've talked about a lot of different guys. And that's the story of this team.
Think about Tommy Pham's run in Milwaukee that he had. Reynolds' grand slam against Chicago.
Colton Wong's defensive gems. Back-to-back days in the middle of the summer.
One and two the count. Adams had a walk-off hit earlier this year against the Pirates. Randall Grichuk all over the place. John Jay's hit against Pittsburgh that Monday night, allowing Carpenter to score. And then Reynolds hit the two-run homer. Tommy Pham, some big moments for the Cardinals. Collectively, a team effort this year. Popped up. Maness, he wants it and makes the play. Why can't more teams do that? I mean, explain to me why the pitcher can't make that play.
Because not every pitcher is Seth Maness. Honestly, that's step one. Seth Maness is, I guess in some ways you think of him as an infielder at heart. He's a very good fielding pitcher, and I think on this play in particular, he realizes that everybody else has got too far to go. And why should they catch it on the run when I'm standing right here?
And I agree with that. A base hit into right. So 2-out hit here in the bottom of the sixth for Jace Peterson.
The real reason probably back in I'm going to guess 1908, a pitcher dropped the ball somewhere, and then somebody said, hey, pitchers shouldn't catch pop flies. So baseball doesn't change that quickly, as you know.
I thought it was more the 03-04 season of 1900.
Somewhere back then.
You're going with 08.
I'm going to go with 08.
You're sticking to that.
Is that when the Cubs won?
Yes, sir. Wait a minute. Oh, that play made by a fan that didn't bring a glove, and now has no feeling in his right hand. Just tipped the cap to the crowd and no one clapped for him. Did you see that?
I did see that. I was hoping that could be a little secret, but you've now shared it with everyone.
Thank you very much. And although no one is clapping for me, but thank you. That was awesome.
I did. I saw the same thing.
He wanted some love, and it wasn't coming his way.
No.
Now time is called. No balls and a strike on Pedro Siriaco. Good pitch. Where the bottom just dropped out of that pitch.
You tell me it sank?
It sunk.
There it is. There it goes.
And he carves him up, and a strikeout for Seth Maness. His final tune-up before the playoffs sends us to the 7th. Bam, Grichuk. The dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Pham, Grichuk, and Adams.
All right, here it comes, Danny. Offensive outburst. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Got some big calls ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
This is the inning, huh?
Mm-hmm.
First pitch to Pham. Strike.
Oh, ye of little faith.
It's only one. And the 0-1. All right, there's your leadoff man. He's aboard. Pham reaching as that ball gets away. Nearly into the dugout. And the tying run is on.
Waiting to see how they score that. That ball was scorched by Tommy Pham, and it stayed low. Barely had a chance to get a glove on it. My guess is error, but we're still waiting.
It's got to be an error.
Yeah. All right, that's my guess.
Put it down right now. It's an error. And now put it down. Here comes a 2-run homer.
There's a hit on the board, by the way.
That'll be erased shortly. And like I said, here comes a 2-run homer.
Got your call ready?
Yeah, what do you want me to use? Any kind of description, or is there something I need to incorporate with this?
I actually don't care as much about the words as I care about your excitement and your energy that you always bring. Danny.
All right. Okay.
The words don't matter. It's the heart language.
At this point, you have officially lost it. And the season comes to a close for you, thankfully for all of us today.
Nope. I'm hanging in through this Cardinal rally here in the 7th.
Here's the 0-1, and here comes a 2-run homer. That has a chance, and it just will get out of play.
Wind is blowing in.
Oh, and 2 is Steve Cishek is getting loose. And when he comes in to pitch, he'll be pitching with the lead following this 2-run homer.
Got a request already for an oh yeah on your home run call.
Okay. Here's an 0-2. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the 1-2 pitch before this 2-run homer. Has a chance, and it turns into a double play.
Not over.
Double play.
I was with you until that pitch.
Your heart.
I thought he was. Yeah. It's one thing about Grichuk at the plate. He's a threat, and you feel like his at bats are going to be dangerous. We talked earlier about Matt Adams and being a little unclear what his role could be. He's been good off the bench as a pitch hitter. You see him starting against certain right-handers. It's a little unclear. He hasn't played as much as I thought he would play in the last week or so.
Time is called. He is flied out twice to center field. And the 0-2. Cishek will come into the ball game after this solo shot.
Singular.
Off the windows of the press box. But not us. We don't need windows. We take in the elements. And the 0-2. Just not quite enough.
I said next inning, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Atlanta as we move to the home half of the 7th. Lance Lynn, 5 innings, looked good, hitting 96 the tail end of his start. Tommy Pham is 1 for 3. Whistler 7 innings, and Garcia 1 for 3 with an RBI. That's a look at your Mazda game summary. Our Chevy called to the pen, and it's Steve Cishek.
That RBI you speak of came early in this game, came in the first inning, and that's been the only scoring. Steve Cishek is pitcher number 3 for St. Louis. Lynn went 5 innings and about the number of pitches that we thought. He threw 79 pitches. Seth Maness had a clean 6th inning with a couple of strikeouts. And Steve Cishek, when he throws strikes, has been very valuable out of the Cardinals bullpen. He has not given up very many hits since he's been a Cardinal. The opponent's batting average very low, in fact, but his main issue has been command and strikes.
You still do that a lot here.
They do. Well, when there were 40,000 people doing it,
got loud.
And pennants and championships in 91, 92, 93, 95, 90, I can't go through them all. Let's just say a lot of them.
And there is a base hit to left field, playing him up towards the middle, and Todd Cunningham is aboard. You would see Ted Turner, Jane Fonda many nights here at this ballpark, and at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium as well.
And again, full park, a lot of energy,
yeah.
and I mean some really great teams too. The pitching was tremendous, and boy, they put the pressure on you, and it was lights out.
They got a run, you felt it was over.
Yeah.
Pitching that they had. So the final year of this ballpark will be next year. Then we move to Cobb County, and they talk about using the blueprint of the Cardinals and what they've had with Ballpark Village, expanding that. Cardinals are also talking about phase 2
yes.
of Ballpark Village. That's around the corner.
I'll tell you what's odd to think about. This is the 19th season of this Turner Field. Next year, the last year, will be the 20th. Ballpark Village is halfway to that total. I mean, not the new Busch Stadium. I mean, is halfway through 20 years of existence. It's just amazing to me that it's been 10 years since we've had this. We say new stadium, but 2006 was year 1. The Cardinals, of course, won. And Turner Field here, just 20 years of age. It just seems like a young ballpark.
You'll see improvements with Busch Stadium 3 next year when you walk through the turnstiles. Be a celebration of 10 years in the ballpark. And also, it'll be a year-long celebration of the 10-year anniversary. That's hard to believe for me, of the 06 championship
yes.
team.
I also understand you're going to stand at the turnstile and greet every fan next season for every game, which I think is just a wonderful thing that you've agreed to do.
Happy to do it. No problem with that. 3.5 million handshakes. There's a base hit to left field. First 2 have reached. Yeah, the tomahawk chop doesn't quite have the same feel as it did a few years ago.
Energy's a little lower, isn't it?
Yeah. Now with that young man, though, that was eating that cotton candy. The kid was about 6. You give him a good 4 or 5 handfuls cotton candy, he'll be leading the charge. There he is right there. He's starting to get into it. A couple more big bites and it's over. Right now his energy level slowly picking up. In about 2 innings, he'll have that little guy, his brother, in a headlock. Showing bunt and then swinging away. Matt Whistler at the plate following a couple of base hits. That'll roll foul. So a strikeout of Whistler.
Picked up the audio of it, easily telling Matt Adams to let it go because it's strike 3. He's out. Nobody can advance. Can't get anything better out of it. He could tell it was going to go foul. We could pick it up on our mics that he was yelling for that. Smart work by Easley.
Here is Michael Bourne with runners at first and second. That pitch taken down and in. A cool, windy, breezy day here from Atlanta. Good fastball, 91. Cishek and the Braves know each other quite well from Steve's time with the Miami Marlins as their closer and pitching in the National League East. Outfield is shallow and a 1-1 pitch.
The right-handed part of the Cardinals bullpen for the roster to me is a complicated question.
In what way?
You have a lot of choices. I think Wainwright, Manus, Rosenthal, pretty clear on that. But beyond that, there is just a lot of ideas and a lot of ways to go with Cishek and Broxton and others. And not 100% sure where Mike Matheny and John Mozeliak will land on that.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. Base hit out to left. This will make it 2-0 Atlanta.
Sometimes hitting looks so easy, doesn't it? You just put the bat on the ball, drop the bat head, take it the other way, get yourself a hit. Looks easy, but it's not. Breaks the bat off the end of the bat, hole on the left side, and Cunningham's able to score.
We're going to change the luck, and you're taking over right now.
I'm taking over. Cishek delivers. Ground ball too short. And that's going to be a 6-4-3 double play. And boy, that didn't take long. We should have been doing this all year. 2-0 Atlanta. He's in our studio. And Pat, I understand you have a Bomberito sports update for us. We shall see if Texas can hold on. They had a hard time doing that yesterday. A terrific finish for those who had a chance to see that. David Freese had a lot to do with that Angels comeback, but it's a tough road here in this game as they're trailing 9-2 in Texas. That game in the 8th inning. And we're 2-0 here. It's been Atlanta Braves all series long. 2 runs on 11 hits for the Braves. The Cardinals have managed just 3 hits against Matt Wisler. Begins his 8th inning of work. He'll face Reynolds, Garcia, and Cosma. Off-speed pitch, strike 1. Wisler trying to even his record at 8-8 with a victory here this afternoon. And he has had very good stuff. He blows that one by Mark Reynolds, who's 1 for 2. Reynolds has one of the 3 Cardinal hits. Grichuk and Pham the other 2. Breaking pitch, and that is just foul, says Anthony Johnson, our third base umpire. Reynolds just missed a double there. The rain has held off here in Atlanta. We have barely seen the sun in our 4 days here. And we haven't seen a lot of Cardinals offense either. Just a couple of innings left here in our regular season before the Cardinals get ready on Wednesday and Thursday with a couple of workouts for the playoffs that'll begin on Friday. 1-2 to Reynolds. Jammed him, popped it up. And out number 1. Wisler has thrown just 78 pitches as he's working here in the 8th inning. The Cardinals are in the postseason, as we've mentioned, and Fox Sports Midwest will have you covered. Catch the Missouri Lottery Cardinals live postgame show on Fox Sports Midwest after every playoff game. Jim Hayes is going to be in the stadium. Pat Parris and the crew will break down the game from Ballpark Village. And I'll be part of that crew. Al Raboski, of course. Jim Edmonds, Andy Bennis. And we look forward to the Cardinals and the excitement of playoff action. Getting spoiled with that. But more October baseball to follow. Garcia has bounced into a double play and he's flown out. 2-0 pitch. High fly ball to center field. And Michael Bourne has no trouble with that one. 2 quick outs for the Cardinals here in the 8th inning. Lance Lynn started. He went 5 innings. Gave up just 1 run. That came in the first inning. Didn't walk any batters, just had 2 strikeouts, but the command was better for Lynn. A good tune-up for him. Going into our next playoff series, and there's the popcorn update. And now they've turned into toys. I believe he just had that on his head. Mom's saying no, that's not what they're for. 1-0 pitch. Looper into right field. Back goes the second baseman Peterson to make the play. 1-2-3 inning. On to the bottom of the 8th. 2-0 Atlanta.
West is brought to you by Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. I left Rick to get the double play. He did that and then can't get any offense going, so I'll take back over. Apparently, we need to have me back here.
Yeah, you've been doing great this series. Sometimes you just have to try something different.
Yeah. This offense right now, as Freddie Freeman will have his final at bat of the season. But the offense for the Cardinals, again, the intensity isn't quite there of a normal regular season game, with the Cardinals having wrapped it up. Some of the regulars not in there, so it's a different look. But yet the Cardinals with only 3 hits in this game, and in game 1 they had only 3 hits. Freddie Freeman will get Kevin Segrist. What a year for Kevin.
With this appearance, we can say that Kevin Segrist has been in half the games. Appearance number 81.
One ball and 1 strike.
Freddie Freeman first came up, I thought he would be a good player, but he became more than just a good player. He's an all-star type player. He's had injuries this season. Been part of a lot of things that have gone wrong with the Atlanta Braves, but he'll be a guy to look out for in 2016.
The 2-2. Swing and a miss. A strikeout for Segrist to start the bottom of the 8th. And you start thinking about the Cardinals and the back end of games with their bullpen. In particular, Segrist, Wainwright, or Wainwright, Segrist to get to Rosenthal. You shorten games up by a lot. You know, your starter gives you 5 or 6. All of a sudden, you got those 3 guys looming. Adonis Garcia, and it's fouled back.
And with the starting pitching coming back to normal a little bit, and let's not say that it's a bad thing, but I mean, they were just so phenomenal all season long. We came to expect 7 innings, no runs every day. Well, you're not going to get that. But with the starting pitchers having the kind of game that we've saw from Lance Lynn, let's say his last outing, where he still put zeros on the board but threw a lot of pitches, got through 5. The bridge guy to me is the biggest concern. Where do you bridge from the 6th, 7th, 6th and 7th and 8th to get to the Segrist and the Rosenthal? And that's what Wainwright can become part of.
0-2 is hammered down the left field line, but foul. Rangers win the AL West, so that is done. They are the champions of the American League West. Well, you wonder how they would come out after such a devastating loss yesterday. Cole Hamels, though, answered the bell. Pitch at 94, taken high.
And that puts the Angels out, and you'd have to say a bit of a disappointment. Looking at what the Angels could have been coming out of spring training, you thought that was going to be a team that could go far.
Really a disappointing year in terms of wins and losses, not getting in. Also, you know, with the friction of the front office, too.
Well, that was part of it.
And their former GM winds up in Seattle. Here's a 2-2. Off-speed pitch and a strikeout for Kevin Segrist.
My former teammate, Jerry DiPoto.
Yeah. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
You did a TV game with Jerry DiPoto once.
I did. Very nice man.
Oh, I love him. Smart guy.
Last time the Cardinals were shut out in 3 consecutive games, October 2nd and 3rd of 1976. October 3rd was a doubleheader. That was against the Pittsburgh Pirates back in 1976. Well, believe us, we will miss being a part of your living rooms and iPads, phones, wherever you watch the games across the United States, certainly back home in St. Louis, wherever you may be. And we thank you for being such a great part of our summers as well. It is our privilege to bring you St. Louis Cardinals baseball. This is a privilege to do this job. We are very fortunate to be affiliated with this unbelievable organization from top to bottom, from the players to front office to great ownership, and they are great. We are very, very lucky, and it's our privilege to do this. So thank you to our fans and really our friends.
100% agree. And to the dozen or so fans that tell us every year, we hear this all the time. It makes me laugh every time I hear it, the number of people that will come up to us with a nice smile on their face after a game, and they'll say, you know, you put me to sleep every night. And they mean it as a compliment. And it's like, oh, I don't mean that. I mean, I go to sleep. I can't not watch a Cardinal baseball game.
You know, that's my line. You've heard me say it, a fan of, Dan, I really enjoy how you call the games. And I say, well, thanks. I'm happy to put you to sleep every night.
Well, they say it. And then they must. I know what they mean. They're always half embarrassed when they say it, but we do take it as a compliment, and we do appreciate the privilege.
The catch is made by Easley, and that sends us to the 9th. With the Cardinals trailing 2-0. And Easley, first pitch was fouled back. This is off the end of the bat. Slow little squibber to second base. And there's one away. The Braves have never shut out the Cardinals in 3 consecutive games. Brandon Moss will be the pinch hitter. We'll see where Moss figures into the postseason come Thursday night, Friday morning. First pitch is a strike. certainly could see this type of role for Brandon coming off the bench.
Gives you a power threat. Cardinals really haven't hit very many balls hard in this game, have they?
Really all day.
Tommy Pham had a good at-bat in the first inning. Then a hit in the 7th. I'm trying to remember another ball hit hard.
Here's a 1-2. Upstairs, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Foul ball. Big playoff droughts are ending. The Blue Jays, looks like the Astros, the Mets, the Cubs.
There's been a little bit of a changing of the guard over the last few years in baseball, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Wild card has done that.
That's ripped into right field, and an extra base hit for Brandon Moss, and the tying run will come to the plate. It's a double for Moss. For my money, he's got to be on the postseason roster. Gives you that element, that threat, a power from the bench. Can play the outfield, can play first base.
A 19 home run year for him. Nearly 60 RBIs. Not all of those with the Cardinals. Not only really just a small percentage of them as a Cardinal, but he has that capacity anyway.
The Pirates win, so they will host the Cubs Wednesday night at PNC. Two balls and no strikes. 1 out. The tying run is at the plate in John Jay. Catches the inside corner, and it's 2-1. The 2-1 pitch to Jay. Curveball swung on and missed.
Tell you what's been pretty amazing, Dan, is the fact that the weather has held off.
Yes.
For this doubleheader today. Our Budweiser player of the game, not much of a surprise. Whistler, 8 1/3 innings. He's given up just 4 Cardinal hits. Good control, 3 strikeouts.
The 2-2 pitch. And a ground ball slowly hit to first. Freeman will take it for the out. 1 out to go. Game number 162. And the final hope is Tommy Pham. Two outs, runner at third. Pham trying to extend it to Grichuk. That pitch taken inside for ball 1. Here's a 1-0 pitch. 2-0.
The highlights of the year, too, was the stretch that Tommy Pham had, and it came against the Brewers in mid-September. He had 3 home runs in 3 straight at-bats in 2 different games. Then he had a triple, and then a fly ball off that was caught at the track. Just a phenomenal series for Tommy Pham. Then he had a triple and double the next 2 at-bats.
The ball that he hit to the track was hit to the deepest part of the park where the wall jets out ever so slightly.
So in 7 at-bats, 1 out, and 6 extra base hits.
Right. 2-1 the count. Three and 1.
They said Whistler doesn't know how to finish off batters yet. He's been doing that today. Now the next thing to check off is to finish off games. Trying to do that here in the 9th.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Tommy Pham. The go-ahead run will come to the plate. The tying runs are on. Freddie Gonzalez making the slow walk out of his dugout to the mound. And that'll be it. He's going to go to his bullpen. In third, and the tying runs are on. The go-ahead run will come to the plate in Randall Grichuk.
Jackson's had a nice season, well traveled. We know he spent some time as a Cardinal. His task, retire Randall Grichuk. Grichuk can certainly change this game with one swing of the bat.
Randall Grichuk, the final hope for St. Louis. Grichuk with 17 home runs. First pitch to him. And that's a ball. Matt Adams is on deck.
Nice moments this season. Grichuk coming back off the disabled list, 450 plus feet into Big Mac land. I like that moment.
Nice moment as well if he could come through. Oh! And he was nearly picked off Tommy Pham at first base. Here's a 1-0. Instead, another check on Pham, back in safely. One-zero pitch. Taken high. 2 balls, no strikes. Freddie Gonzalez went as far as he could with Whistler, trying to get him the complete game shutout. And now it is Edwin Jackson. 2-0 the count. Check swing, strike 1. Wind has died down a bit, not a lot, but a bit from earlier today. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Instead, a check on Pham.
Don't think Pham's going to try to steal in this situation, but he's trying to get as big a lead as possible in case Grichuk's able to plug a gap. He wants to be able to score from first. I'd shorten up just a tad, as good as Jackson's move has been to first.
2-1 pitch. 2-2. The next to Grichuk. The Braves have a sweep. Regular season comes to a close. Up next, the division series for St. Louis.
Cardinals not able to find offense again here in Game 2 of this series. Outstanding performance by Matt Whistler. He picks up the victory for Atlanta. Lance Lynn was good. He went 5 innings, gave up just 1 run. The bullpen good as well, but the Cardinals going into postseason, at least the last few days, they can say they got healthier, and at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want a Cardinals team healthy and ready for Friday.
On to the post-game show. Much more baseball talk and conversation coming up with Pat and Hungo. 2-0 our final.